But that's true of many other cities.
The United States. For the past century, this name has been a magnet for the world. A beacon of prosperity, innovation, and the promise of a better life we know as the American dream. We see it in Hollywood movies, on our screens, and in the towering skyscrapers of Wall Street. But behind the neon lights of Times Square and the opulence of Beverly Hills lies a reality that has been deliberately hidden. A humanitarian crisis erupting at the heart of the world's wealthiest nation. Today, nearly 1 million people in the United States have no place they can call home. This figure is the highest in their modern history. What went wrong? Why has a nation capable of sending humans to the moon failed to provide shelter for its own people? I'm Khaled, and today, we're going to expose the dark side of Uncle Sam's land. The American Dream. A sweet promise that anyone who works hard can achieve success, wealth, and a comfortable home in the land of Uncle Sam. For decades, this promise has drawn millions of immigrants from all corners of the world. However, behind the glitz of Hollywood lights and the towering skyscrapers of Wall Street, the United States is facing a heartbreaking irony. A humanitarian tragedy unfolding right before our eyes. Today, we're not talking about tech billionaires or global pop stars. We're going to look at another side of this superpower. A side that's weary, cold, and lost. Welcome to America, a country that's slowly earning a new nickname, the land of a million homeless. How can a country with the world's largest economy allow hundreds of thousands, even millions, of its citizens to be stranded on the streets? The term "a million homeless" may sound hyperbolic, but the reality isn't far off from that figure when accumulated over the course of a year. According to the latest data from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, the daily count of homeless people has reached a record high in the nation's recorded history. On a single night between 2023 and early 2024, more than 653,000 people in the United States lacked adequate housing. This represents a drastic 12% jump from the previous year. And keep in mind, this is just a count from a single night. Millions more are living on the brink of stability, moving from one friend's couch to another, sleeping in their cars, or facing eviction. If we walk through the Skid Row area in Los Angeles, or the Tenderloin in San Francisco, the scene resembles a refugee camp in a third-world country. Tents line the streets for miles. Unpleasant odors mingle with despair. About 1/3 of the entire homeless population in the US is in the state of California. The latest data from the US Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, reveals a staggering surge. As of early 2024, more than 770,000 people were recorded as being homeless on a single night. That's an 18% increase in just 1 year. But experts agree, this figure is merely the tip of the iceberg. There are millions of others who fall into the category of invisible homeless. These are people who move from one friend's couch to another relative's, or those who live in their cars in remote supermarket parking lots to avoid being arrested by the police. When these numbers are combined, we're looking at a figure approaching 1 million people. In Los Angeles alone, every night, more than 75,000 people sleep on the streets. That's equivalent to filling a large stadium with nothing but people who don't have a home. Many people think the homeless are lazy or addicts. But the data tells a different story. This crisis has touched every segment of society, from war veterans and families with young children to office workers who still have steady jobs but can no longer afford rent. The root of the problem is the economic disparity and the housing crisis. Imagine this. In many major US cities, a minimum wage worker must work more than 80 to 90 hours a week just to afford a decent one-bedroom apartment. Rents have skyrocketed by hundreds of %, while workers' wages have lagged far behind. The second problem is the exorbitantly expensive healthcare system. In America, getting sick is a luxury. A minor accident or a diagnosis of a chronic illness can result in medical bills running into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Without adequate insurance, many middle-class families are forced to sell their homes just to survive, and ultimately end up on the streets. Then there is the opioid crisis and mental health. Since the mass closure of government-run mental hospitals decades ago, many people with mental health disorders have not received proper care. At the same time, cheap synthetic drugs like fentanyl have run rampant, trapping the desperate in a vicious cycle of addiction that is extremely difficult to break. This is John. He is a war veteran who once proudly defended his country overseas. But when he returned, he found no place in society. And this is Maria, a single mother who works as a restaurant server. She works 40 hours a week, but her pay isn't enough to cover the ever-rising rent deposits. Every night, she makes sure her children are asleep in the backseat of the car before she herself falls asleep in the driver's seat. Their stories prove that the promise of the American dream, that hard work will lead to success, is now beginning to fade for many people. Here, we see a systemic failure where the social safety net is virtually non-existent. When you fall very hard, and very few hands are willing to pull you back up. The US government has poured billions of dollars into the problem, yet the situation has only worsened. Why? Because the approaches taken are often reactive, such as the forced eviction of homeless encampments, rather than preventive. However, there is a glimmer of hope in the housing first concept. Some cities are trying to provide permanent housing first, without conditions, and only then offer healthcare and employment assistance. The result? People recover more easily when they feel safe under a real roof. The million homeless crisis in America isn't just about a lack of housing, but about the loss of humanity in a system too focused on numbers. This is a reminder to us all that a nation's progress isn't measured by the number of billionaires it has, but by how it treats its most vulnerable citizens. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Is this purely a systemic failure, or are there other factors being overlooked? Write in the comments section below. And if you want to keep uncovering the truth behind other global issues, don't forget to click subscribe to Khaled Uncovers. I'm Khaled, see you in the next investigation.